Today we're going to be using camera traps to focus on Tasmanian devils. Tasmanian devils are currently an endangered species due to a disease known as the devil facial tumour disease, which currently spreads over 60% of the geographic range of Tasmanian devils. Now, the disease is spread via cuts and bites from other Tasmanian devils, and at feeding time we want to know whether this cutting, scratching and biting occurs because it's quite aggressive, and camera traps are the perfect tool to capture this footage. We're setting up a camera trap on this tree behind me, and we'll also be having a bait chained to this stake right in front of me. So before we get started, we've got to make sure that the camera is actually set up correctly. So first of all, we want to just check the status of the camera to make sure that the SD card is empty and the battery is almost full. So yep, 0% full on the SD card and 80% full on the batteries, so we're all good to go. Next we need to go into change setup and go into advanced. So first of all, we want to make sure that the trigger speed, we want to have a fast trigger speed because Tasmanian devils, they have rapid movements, especially around feeding time. So we want to make sure that we get all the possible movements that we can. So going into advanced, and then we go into trigger. So we want the motion sensor on to ensure that we do get the devils moving into the field of view. We want it on high sensitivity. We are going to be shooting at night time, so we want to make sure that we do get the devils moving into the field of view, especially with the low levels of light. So we want maximum pictures per trigger, as we want to observe the behaviour of the devils eating and to see if there are any bites or scratches occurring. So we do need near video footage, so press OK. We want rapid fire. We don't want an interval between each picture, once again because we do need that near video footage. So on quiet period, we want no delay, and we're finished. So once we're back at the start, go to change setup again, go to advanced, and then we want to go across. So the time lapse, we don't want a time lapse in between each one, as we want to make sure that we get the picture of the devils as soon as they come into the field of view and get their behaviour. Resolution, we want it on high resolution, especially because we're going to be shooting at night. Devils are nocturnal animals, so that's the period of time when we're going to be shooting. Night mode, so once again, nocturnal animals, we're going to be definitely having night mode on for these guys. Date, time and temp stamp, we want this just to make sure that when we are going through our pictures, we can see when they happened, what time they happened, and that way it's a bit more better for our records. Alright, so once we've got all the settings set up, we just need to strap it to a tree. A good sturdy tree like this is good, one that's not bent over as well, just to make sure that we've got a nice straight angle. So what we need to do, strap it around, clip it on. We want to make sure that it's nice and sturdy too, so that if we do get a bit of a rough weather, we're not going to be losing our camera in the process. So make sure it's nice and tight, hook it in, and we want to make sure that it's in line with our star picket over here as well. So as you can see, the height is about 40 centimetres.
Tasmanian devils are about 40 centimetres high, so we want to make sure that we get the camera angling to about 30 to 40 centimetres, which is their chest height.
Plus too, if we have a look on the side, that's not quite straight. So we want to put a little wedge in there just to make sure we angle it down so it's a bit more straight, and we're going to get a good picture of the Tasmanian devils. Yeah, that's looking pretty good right there. I do have a stake set up, which I'll be strapping some carcasses to as bait. So we want this stake about 2 to 3 metres away from the camera trap. That way we get a good picture that's in the field of view, and we can get a lot of action happening around this area here. Now when you're setting it up, if you see some vegetation in your field of view, make sure you get rid of it. We don't want that in there. Also too, making sure that we get a clear view of any Tasmanian devils that might come into the area. Get rid of all these, and that way we've got a nice clear shot. Also too, we don't want any vegetation directly around there, because if it starts getting windy, they move, it will actually set off the camera. So another thing to remember when setting up is that the camera's on the right angle, so that when it takes the shot, the animal is in the central detection zone, and that way we get plenty of movement, plenty of activity and plenty of shots. So before we actually get started, we want to make sure that the camera's pointing the right direction, and that we're going to get some footage of the Tasmanian devils walking through and eating the bait. So we're going to do a walk test first. So just select that in the settings, close it up. And all I'm going to do is just walk through the area where I want it to. And we'll check what footage we got. So once we've done the walk test, we want to make sure that we've gotten the right pictures in the right area. Put the SD card in a computer or an SD reader, have a look through, and as we can see, we actually do have some shots of me walking by. And if we go into the bigger picture, we can see that the stake's in view, I'm in view, so we're going to get some Tasmanian Devils in our shots. So once we've done the walk test and we know that we're going to get some pictures of Tasmanian Devils, head back over to the camera, put the SD card back in, allow it to read it. Once it's read, just make sure, important fact, you arm the camera. And it's all good to go.